So Neuro Hackathon is a unique conference. To me, the first time we are trying to bridge the gap between the R&D core lab concepts and probably what we can bring to the cath lab. So we have a lot of great expert talks that are coming up, and a very good R&D team that has come from even places as distant as the US, who has, they are all coming to give us an idea of what went into designing these products and how we can translate those informations into cath lab. Now, as much as I have put the timings in these sessions, I would request all the participants to interact well, both on and off, meaning both formal and informal interactions. Understand from the R&D team as to why these hardwares were given, and you could probably give your feedback about the Indian diaspora. You could tell about your cath lab, issues that you have with the lens or with the, the trackabilities or the visibilities or what goes into this product. And so it will be an give and take sessions, so people will be able to give some information and take something back home as well. So with not much ado, this is our a general idea of how the sessions are going to go. There are some changes in the sessions based on the comfort level of the R&D speaker, but most of the sessions will be stuck to this. So with nothing much to go about, then I'll start with our strong engineers first. So first I would like to invite Mr. Shyam. Mr. Shyam is from the Penumbra Industries, and he has been in an engineer. So Shyam sir, if you could. So he's been an engineer who has been with product designing for quite some time. And a very famous catheter systems that we use today is the Neuron Max. And Mr. Shyam will probably share about his experiences in the R&D section of how these catheters are or how these guiding sheets are developed and what is the ideal place for it to use and whatever he feels fit for this audience. Please feel free to interact with him. Shyam, the stage is yours, please. Thank you.
Good morning, all. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Sundar. This is a very innovative program, so this is probably the first of a kind. This is a very good platform to bridge the gap, the way I call it, to bring the industry closer to the SCPs who do this procedure day in and day out. And at the end of the day, we are all work for one goal, which is to bring the best outcome for the patient. So I think this platform is very unique, and I hope this is going to get closer to that objective. With that said, I would like to take a minute to introduce myself. So I'm Shyam. I'm with Penumbra. I'm the country head for Penumbra for the last year or so. So I just recently moved from the US. So as Dr. Sundar introduced me, I started my career. I'm from Coimbatore. So like Dr. Sundar says, a lot of good people come from Coimbatore. So we both are from Coimbatore. So that's so having said that, so I studied engineering in Coimbatore. Of course, everybody in India, whether you go to medical, you guys are, or if you don't get there, you get into engineering. That's how I ended up in engineering. Then after I studied textiles. So after textiles, so I didn't know what to do here. So I went to US to do my master's. One of my professors asked me to do a project for my master's, which happened to be designing surgical grafts, because surgical grafts are made of textiles. So that's how I ended up into medical device industry. So I work for Cook Medical, designing their EVAR and TEVAR, Zenith endovascular devices. Then slowly they said I talk too much, so they moved me into marketing. Now I'm here. So I'm glad to be back in India after 22 years. So this is my experience. So I work for Cook Medical. I just wanted to mention I'm from Coimbatore. You have a pointer by any chance? Pointer. Yes, pointer. I got it. So yeah, I'm from Coimbatore, as I said. So I went to US. I worked in medical device industry. This is my experience. So mostly in Cook, I started as the engineer, and then I moved into market development and marketing. And then I worked a little bit in Philips Volcano, Microvention, and now Penumbra. So nothing fancy about it. So how do we do? So this is a platform to talk about how we design products. So that's what you guys get to know the product when it's all introduced, commercially approved, but how that product development cycle works. So this is how it works. Most of the ideas come from folks like you, the concept and unmet needs. So we take it and then we evaluate, we do some benchtop models, we look at the concept. That's all done in the R&D side of things. So there are a lot of great R&D folks who do that. And then once it passes that, then the design freeze happens. So once the design freeze happens, then the product gets assigned something called design history file, and it becomes a official product development. So we have to follow it's a regulated product, so we have to follow the certain criteria how we develop this product. So that's all happens in this part. So where the product goes through various cycles, and then once it meets all the objectives, then the regulatory takes over, and then clinical studies, if it has to go through, then all this team work together, and then also we want to make sure it's manufacturable. So this team, production engineering, is responsible for making sure that we can repeat, not just make one product, but repeatedly we can consistently make the product to the same spec all the time. So, and then it goes into manufacturing, then marketing takes it and brings it to you. And then once it's marketed, then we continuously get the feedback, and then we understand what is the unmet need, so it becomes like a big cycle. So looking at the product development cycle alone, so we call something called design history file. And then we get the design input requirements. This is important. I just wanted to highlight. So there is a portion here. It's called clinical needs. So that's where we get your feedback and from the key opinion leaders and put all the requirements here, so that in the design output we make sure that after doing the validation and verification testing, then that becomes like a design output document, and then once it's all completed, then it's all submitted to the regulatory authorities for approval. Then once we get the approval, then we market the product. So just in a nutshell, just wanted to explain how things work. So disclosure, not all products that I'm showing in the next slide is not approved in India. So this is something to show about Penumbra now. So Penumbra, how did we evolve? So something interesting. Do you guys know who started Penumbra? Who's the one of the owners of Penumbra? Yes. So he's Dr. Arani Bose. He's a Bengali, and he grew up in India, and he went when he was 7-year-old to US. His parents moved there. Then he went to Stanford, and then he studied interventional neuroradiology, and he started the company with a Stanford colleague who's Adam. Adam is our current CEO. So that is Penumbra. I'm happy to say it's started by a Indian INR. So just trivia. So how did we start? So this is where Penumbra journey started. In 2007, we had Neuron systems. So we are the pioneers in Neuron. Everyone have at some point have come through what Neuron is. So this slide, I don't want to waste too much time here, but it shows how innovative our company is. So we pride in ourselves bringing new technology, innovative products to the market. So you can see as good at, like, we are yet to launch BMX 81 and BMX 96. There are a lot of good products in the pipeline, so a lot of good things to come. So we started our journey in Neuron. So Neuron Max is one of them that I'm going to cover now. So coming to Neuron Max, as all of you have at some point used, it's the first sheath, probably the pioneering sheet for doing any neuron access. Before that, I believe Cook shuttle was before that, long time ago, before my time. So I used to work on Cook shuttle on the peripheral side. But again, this is a very innovative product. So I just wanted to highlight, so the Neuron family here. So out of this, I'm going to touch base now, Neuron Max. It comes in 3 different lengths. Most of you would have seen 80 and 90 centimeter here. Not 100 centimeter. The need for 100 centimeter is not much here because, like Dr. Sundar mentioned, so depending on the Indian condition needs, but we do have longer sheath at 100 centimeter if need be. So the couple of things that I want to highlight here is the where do you position. This product is designed when the engineers took this product. The idea here is to park Neuron Max in high cervical. That's very critical. The reason being because as you could see here, we have 3 different zones: support zone, transition zone, and the distal flexible zone. If you don't park here, if you park, let me be positive here. When you park at the high cervical region, then the support zone sits where you want it to support your other catheters that's going through it. So there won't be any pushbacks. And also it will help you to do the next set of procedure. Like example, if you're taking the reperfusion catheter up, then it will be easier, better to do that. So that's why it's critical where you park your Neuron Max. So what are some of the features that went into the design of this? It's a soft-tipped 6 French long sheath ID. So it's a soft atraumatic tip designed for distal placement. Full distal shaft, radiopacity, so it's for visualization. So you can, when you use it, you can clearly visualize. I have some images to show. Proximal shaft is engineered for support throughout the aortic arch because that's where you need the maximum support. So if you don't place your sheath all the way up to the high cervical, then the support catheter may not be in the aortic arch. So that the sheath may be, when you're pushing some catheters through, it may start sliding down. So that's why it's important where you park Neuron Max. Compatible with Penumbra 6 French Select catheter, designed for coaxial delivery to final position without the over-the-wire exchange. So that's very important, critical. So what is the transition zone? So it's a 7 centimeter, and the distal flexible zone is 4 centimeters. So it's a very atraumatic tip. So soft atraumatic tip. So what does it help? It's fully radiopaque distal shaft, compliant tip interaction with the vessel wall, designed to enable distal placement, support pushability and trackability of the Penumbra reperfusion catheters, because that is our ultimate goal, is to reach the clot so we can suck it out. So again, this is to show how nicely it's visible, and it's designed for distal placement. So you can see here, and then you can see here. And then where it's versatile distal shaft, it can take a lot of curvature. So as you could see, and then it's parked way high, and then it can take an angle. So, and then this is a very important slide, guys. So here, optimizing. So where we need to park. So this is where. So let me play the video. It's very self-explanatory because since it's a technical platform for education, it may be some basic for some of you guys, but it's worth showing the slide. So as you could see here, the support shaft, and then progressively softer material transitioning to very soft tip. It's very atraumatic, and you can see how flexible, and it's. We have done tests to show. I'm not going to show those slides. And then place it, like I told, it's placed atraumatically at high cervical over 6 French Select. So you have to use a 6 French Select to take it up over a 035 wire. See here, they're pushing the reperfusion catheter or something, but it's kept at low level. So what is happening, if you can watch, it's very unstable. See, it's moving back, moving back, moving back. So it's not the right way to place the Neuron Max. Where is it the right place to place? I'll show it in the next video. So extra supportive proximal shaft appropriately within the aortic arch. Then it will give you the maximum stability. See, now they're pushing it. It's a benchtop test. So it's kept at a high intended for high cervical ICA position. Then you see there is no pushing, and then it's easy to track. So the positioning, the Neuron Max is very, very important. So And this is another video to show how efficiently, because stroke time is money, so you have to be fast. So this animation video helps to understand how you can make it faster and quicker with all the accessories. By the way, our Neuron Max comes with the dilator. The positioning of the dilator is very important. So how far you can take. So let me play this video and then I'll explain it to you. So this is from ACE, now we have red, so, but this is the older video, but it's very good for education. So the clot is there. Of course, you get the femoral axis. And you're taking a O35 wire, right? And then you go over it, both Neuron Max and the dilator tip. Is the dilator tip going above the renal? No. That's very important, because if the dilator tip is very sharp, so you don't want to take the dilator tip. You pull the dilator tip out. Now you put a select catheter. Now you have a three system, triaxially: a O35 wire, a 6-French select catheter, and the Neuron Max. So those things help you to navigate well. So if you want to park, wherever you want to park, you use the right type of the angulation in the select catheter. Then you go up, and then you push the Neuron Max now. High ACA, and then the sheath Neuron Max is coming up. And this is how you track, so coaxially, so you get support wherever you want, and then you take the angle, and then you follow the select with the Neuron Max. You continue this. This is and then you park it there, you pull the O35 wire, and then select catheter out. Now you put the treatment. You keep all these three things ready: O14 wire, 3 Max support catheter, and a red or A68. Now all the three come through the sheath very fast. So you go to the clot, cross the lesion with the wire, and then you follow that with the 3 Max support and the red 72 or red 62 or red 68. So you come to the proximal of the clot, you stop there, connect the engine, suck the clot out. You're done, you pull everything out. So without me explaining in 1,000 words, I think this animation would do a better job. You connect it, and then you start the engine, and then so these are the select catheters that comes, different angles, different tracking catheter. This is a video to show how it tracks over the 6-French select catheter. And then, so now what is next? I'm going to cover tomorrow, but just I want to give you guys a hint. We are the pioneers in the sheath with Neuron Max. Now we have developed a new technology called a stainless steel hypertube technology. So you have this catheter, if I say, it has the same OD as Neuron Max, but the ID is not 088 anymore. It's going to be 096. So that is the big improvement that we have done, and it tracks well. But tomorrow in our innovative session, I'll talk more about it. So this is the innovation that's going to happen, or that's happened within the Access family. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Shyam. If there are any questions from the audience, we could take it now. Shyam, I have a question. Supposing we have these different sizes of Neuron Max that are coming in, and we are going to take this up for patients who on a mechanical thrombectomy, correct? So you have measured 100, 90, 85. And remember, these systems are costly. Many of our patients are, resource poor settings. How do I choose the Neuron Max length on the table?
So again, you go with your one experience, but mainly the patient height will give you the good indication. So typically, if you have doubt about where he falls, I think a 90 is a good length to start with, 90 centimeter.
Is there any way to measure this on the patient with a tape or something like that, so that we know where exactly it ends? Is there anything that you know of?
It's not that easy, because some of the anatomy, depending on the age factor, so it could be the angulation of the, so basically it's more of the height versus the other experience. But typically 100 is too much for Indian patients, so I recommend 90 to start with. If it's a very petite patient, then 80 could work.
And what about the mandrel? I have seen this. Yours is the only sheet that comes with a mandrel, right?
Oh, the dilator?
Yeah, no, the mandrel. It comes with a mandrel. Does it come with a mandrel?
Oh, no, it's just the dilator. It comes with the dilator. So, the mandrel that comes in the packing. That's a great question. So if you guys see when you open a new Neuron Max, there'll be a white stainless steel mandrel that comes with it. So that's intended because even in IFU, if you read it carefully, it will be written there. So you can reshape our sheath tip. That is the purpose. Thank you for asking that question. So that mandrel helps if you want to reach it. If you are getting a tortuous anatomy, if you are having difficulty getting into the highly angulated vessel, so you can shape that. From engineering point of view, it's so easy. So because we do it all the time, so you can apply some heat, like a heat gun, and then very less, but it comes with experience. And then you can use that the mandrel, that small wire, like stainless steel type wire. So you keep it, and then you can make the angle what you want on the back table, so that it will help you to save. So when you see a tortuous anatomy, depending what you want, you can initially make it before even you go inside. Sure.
Normally when we shape the microcatheters, the smaller ones, you can bend the mandrel to the shape that you want. This one is a thick one.
Exactly.
And how much heat do you apply?
It's just because I can't give a specific answer because it's very experienced and then it's very subjective. So depending on, because I would recommend start with very little, so try it first time, then that will give you an indication whether it's too much or, because it's, so based on that you can go one more time. So it's a trial and error, I would say, for a few times.
All right.
The Neuron Max, the hub is that green hub.
Correct.
Yeah, that is like a hub of a sheath.
Exactly.
So you need the introducer for introducing the aspiration catheter all the times. So that introduces another step into the procedure. So what I was suggesting was, if you can remove that instead of that hub, if you put the small connector which comes with the aspiration catheter, you can do away with the introducer part, because that brings in another step to the whole process. You have to take the introducer, introduce it carefully, otherwise the tip gets damaged.
That's a great point.
So introduce it, then you have to take out the introducer, then you have to connect put the micro wire and then take it up. So what I was suggesting was, if you can instead of that,
put the connector directly.
Put the connector, a small connector, not the long one, because that will you will lose length on
14 centimeter approximately.
Yeah. So you have a small connector there. No, you can just open it and introduce it.
No, that's a great point. I'll definitely let our engineers know. So because sometimes you have the chance of fish mouthing the tip of the catheter when you go through it. So
because without anything, you can't introduce into that hub.
Exactly.
That green hub. You need hub. Something.
Exactly. Yeah.
And with the microcatheter alone, it's risky.
Exactly.
The tip gets damaged.
Exactly. No, I totally get it. So you can remove it, then you can connect a Y connector like a RHV. So because typically, do you put a saline bag to keep the negative pressure on the side port?
Yeah, but the problem is when you put the usual Y connector, the length is more. So you don't want to lose length. I'll come to that in my talk now.
Totally agree. That's a great point. So I see that's a good improvement that we can take it to our next design.
Regarding the question which Kaushik asked, how to select between 80 and 90. Suppose if many times the Indian population is not like the Western population where the carotid is invariably straight. Here it is, you take 180, 360, all turns.
Exactly.
So if there is a proximal severe turn immediately after you can't take the guiding catheter much up, but then we take an 80 so that now you don't lose length outside.
Okay, that's a good point, because it's very torturous in Indian patients.
And second thing is, initially we keep the guiding catheter proximally, because if you suddenly many beginners they try to take it as distally as possible, but without priming the vessel, invariably the vessel will go in for spasm.
Exactly.
So we keep it at the origin, then take the aspiration catheter up, and then as a single unit take it up slowly once the vessel is primed.
That way you are not creating spasm and that. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.